Welcome back to another episode of the Corporate Happiness Show. And at this point, it's actually recording these shows and meeting all these amazing people is like one of my favorite part of my work. So I'm really excited. And today's guest is super special. Not only is she in Europe, I'm from Europe, so which is really dear to my heart, but we also have a friend, the co-worker friend type person in common, which is the first guest that was on my show, Grace Woods. You should go check out that episode. And she also took part in my focus research groups that I'm holding, where we talk about what this whole thing is about happiness at work and burnout and wellness. And she has a super great energy, a strong voice, and I'm just so excited to get this out to you. So welcome, Amanda. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So anyway, how is Europe doing?
I'm doing great. I mean, it's been some vacation weeks, but now I'm back and I'm entering like a new role. So there's a lot of new things happening,
Oh,
but it's super
amazing.
exciting. Super
Amazing.
exciting.
So even more, you have even more to say. So hey, you work as a people experience partner. Let's dive right in. What does that even mean?
Yes, what does that even mean? I mean, I've been super much into recruitment now in the past, so I will leave recruitment totally. And this is, as the title says, experience partners. So everything that has to do with employees. It can be onboarding new employees, how to feel that people, how people, to make people feel included. And we are opening up a few new offices around Europe. So I will be part of having one-on-one session with them, and just to make sure that they feel that they are on the right track. And if there's anything, they can, I don't know how to say this, but like bounce ideas with me. So there's a lot about t- like the culture, activities, inclusion, diversity. So there's a pretty like broad spectra within this title actually.
I like it, and the title pretty much explains it very well, that it's about the experience of people working somewhere. And this you just mentioned, inclusion, diversity, and all that. I mean, there's all these juicy subjects that are so important right now. So you said something about, so people actually feel included. What do you think makes people feel included at work?
Yeah, I think I mean, I always think that it comes back to kind of the basic around psychology and what does we as human want to feel, safe, to feel being able to, express our authentic self, to like just be yourself and not have to enter like a job persona, that you can actually come to work and just be whoever you are and not be like unafraid, like afraid of being your authentic self. And that like how we do that, it's various of different things. So it could be, for example, we have offices in different countries which are much smaller. In Stockholm, we're pretty big, the headquarters. So how do we make sure that the team in this other country, who are like 5 people, also feel like they are part of this big company and not like a silo side project? And that we can have a lot of remote activities, or having one-on-ones and ask themselves like what is it that you're lacking, or what can we do together. And I think by asking them directly, we also know like what is the actual what they want, and what is it that they're lacking or want to have more of. So we include them in the decision making, as well.
I like that, and how you said that, like different countries. It's like, I mean, in America, I live in America now, but I'm from
Mm.
Europe originally. But in America, it's a big country. But even there's different places. Like East Coast, West Coast is not the same. And I like how you highlight that it's important to kind of take in consideration where people live, where they're coming from, and asking them. So do you
Mm.
ask them in like surveys, or do you do one-on-ones and you ask them directly, or how do you do that?
We have different approaches. So we will have one-on-ones with all of the teams. So they have like a 30-minute session, and we talk about how they're feeling, what what they've been up to lately, and what like pros and cons, and just a kind of platform for them to ventilate with somebody who's not their direct manager, somebody who is like kind of neutral, and they don't have to feel, I think they feel they will act differently towards a manager or towards like a people person who they know are here for them to be successful and thrive, rather than, oh, have you reached your targets, what is your result, so they get a more like a calm approach, I would say.
I like
And
that.
what was the question again?
I like that because it's like, well, just, like how you doing that. But I mean, you answered it super good. And I like that it's like a very human approach. You approach the people as human beings and not as robots, and what were you accomplishing and how did you do that. And I think that's a safe environment where people actually will open up. So what do you do then? So with that information, do you compile it, and what do you do that with that information and after?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super important to be transparent with the employee and say, okay, is it okay for me to share this with the team, with the management, if there's something special that I can pick up. So usually what I do is that I not interview, but I have the
Yeah.
one-on-one with one team, and then I kind of look through are the common things that I see here. Do I see a red thread about something? Is it like, okay, they all say the same things, and I know what I can do with it. So I think it's super important to also follow up. So it's not just a session like, oh, they talk and then we don't do anything about it. So normally everything depends on what they say, really. But if there's a common thread that, okay, they want to have more activities as a team, then I talk with the person in our side who has a lot of activities and take initiatives, and maybe book something with a person at the other headquarter and include them and be like, hey, should we have like a meetup and share ideas, have a workshop, just something to get the ball rolling and to make them feel like, okay, we are actually putting things in action, and make things change. For example, we had one person who wanted the onboarding to be a bit more, it was a bit intense for them. They thought like the first week was so much information, and the whole company are presenting different things, so they wanted it to be a bit more slowly onboarding. So I did talk with the management who are head of this onboarding for that specific department, and then they like, oh, okay, nice, good to know. And then they do like a plan to how to change that.
I
So
like
I think,
that. I
yeah,
like that. I feel like you're really taking this information and you're really rolling with it, and there is no judgment with it. I
mm,
like that because I think judgment is something that gets into the way, and when it gets into the way, you're not moving forward as a company. Would you agree with that?
yeah, 100%, 100%. I know, because I think we are like 30 different nationalities at our company right now.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And we did have like a super fun, inclusive activity the other week. So each month we have like monthly meetings on a company level. So for each month we have started to have like a theme, a country. So last month we had a person from Egypt. So we had an Egypt month, and that person presented about Egypt facts, and we had the music, we had everything like Egyptian feeling, and so the vibe were very much Egypt for the whole month. And then he also made food, Egyptian food, and so we really, I mean, I just love people when they get so like, okay, we really care about your culture and we want to hear more, and all in the company get like an insight in where you're from. And I think that's like a small thing, but still I think all the small parts makes it like, okay, this is a great culture, I love this. Is just, people are just so kind and nice and interested. So that's just one thing that we have done that's super nice.
Yeah, and I love it because you say, like, I mean, it's small, but it actually is so big. And that highlights actually something that I feel like a lot of times, like when, you know, companies look at the solution, it's like they're looking at this big mountain, they don't even know where to start, and then they don't start because it's too big, it costs too much money. It's such a big change, but you're highlighting actually that's little is good, little step by step. And sometimes the smaller acknowledgments and the smaller adjustments mean actually much more, because the smaller also means more basic, but more basic is a lot of times more compassionate, more human. It has nothing to do with money. It has to do with wanting to get to know who are you and how can we you know, make you feel inclusive and happy, and also like a home, like welcome, right?
Yeah, so I really felt that this Friday, this person were cooking Egyptian food because we have a kitchen in the office. So I was like, are we at a restaurant or is it our company? It was just like smelling food, and people were standing in the kitchen just chatting, getting to know each other, because we have a lot of new people starting. So there is like a challenge to, you know, we do onboard a lot of people every month. So this, I just saw this and I just could just feel the energy in the whole office. It was like I'm home. You know, it was just so simple, and people just, you know, just chatting about everything. And I think that's really like a small thing, as you say, that makes a really big impact.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think you keep saying feel home, and I said it before too, home. So why don't we dig a little deeper? So do you feel that when you feel home at work, you also like then are really able to feel happy at work and fulfilled even in harder times?
Yeah, I think, I mean, if you see it as when you're home, okay, what are the aspects that makes you feel at home? I would say, as we spoke about, like the safe space. So even though something is hard, it's stressful, it's just like it's a burden, it's a lot. But when you feel like home, you still feel safe to express those emotions and feelings that you have. So I think the environment that we build is a safe space to share, to listen, to understand, to have actual, like, how to say, like a platform or sessions where we have, okay, this is a session on Friday at 2 o'clock. We do share how was the week, the pros, the cons, and we do listen and try to give inputs and stuff like that. So I think creating like spaces for people to share and feel safe is very much important.
Yeah, and I also think I totally agree. And I also think it kind of shows that when you feel safe and you create spaces like that, people will, you know, say much more. People will let you in. People will share. People will have actually the thought, okay, I can actually share what I think here without, you know, being in trouble or not being safe or being judged or whatnot. And honestly, in these environments, they can thrive because you will find out more from the people that make your company, because they don't work for you, they work with you. It's a co-creation, it's a collaboration. And the more you know, the more you get to know them, and the more you also know about what your company needs next, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I definitely think that, you know, when you know somebody more than just a coworker that you talk business with, when you know them, like some special thing they have in their their life, what they like to do, when, so I think the more we share about ourselves, the more we get to know each other, and the more we get to know each other, the more home we feel. Like, okay, I know that this person has 2 dogs and live on the country and loves pineapple, whatever it could be. I mean, that just that thing makes me like, okay, I know them a bit more, and then feel more like we have more connection. And I think that's very important in like the leadership. So when we start, we have the onboarding, like a lot of presentation for each departments, but that person usually also share a bit about themselves, like have a slide about, you know, me. And then
Mm-hmm.
they talk about, oh, I have 2 kids, I live here, I'm born here, I talk so many languages, I love to travel, you know, a bit just like a bio about them. And I think that kind of sets the standard that, oh, we are open here, and we are just here working, but also like we're just humans
Yeah,
that
we're
have
humans.
an
We're
everyday life.
humans.
Yeah.
I like that. We're humans because as
Mm.
humans, we interact with each other like that. We love to hear who the other person is, and we love to hear a little bit more about not just work only, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
so you said to me you are a psychology nerd. So,
Yeah.
so what fascinates you about it, about psychology, and how
Um,
does it help you to do your job so well?
I mean, everything about psychology is just like, wow. I
Mm-hmm.
remember like I started studying psychology in high school and I just got, oh my God, I love this. And I think when I think about what is it that I love, I think it's the understanding of how other people have become who they are. That's like one, like it's so interesting. Like, okay, so, and also that every human has so many opportunities to grow, and you can see like growth, and I mean there's so many aspects of psychology that just makes me super interested, like even myself, I think, because we can also always mirror each other. I don't know if that was like a question, but psychology just feels so big, and it's everything about like the human mind, everything from, okay, if we are born with this family constellation, that affects us through our whole life.
Oh yeah.
And we have to like face different things, and maybe then we meet somebody else who has done that and they can help us. I mean, everything is just connected, I think. And psychology goes so much hand in hand with like energies and what we reflect, to how we kind of like what energy we send out and what we get back. So I think everybody's just meant to meet each other at a certain point. And when you start seeing that, it's like synchronicity. It just like also goes hand in hand with psychology. And I loved like I was really, when I did my master's, I did about the placebo effect,
Oh
which
yeah.
is like, wow. It
Yeah.
just shows you that your mind are so powerful. Like even if you just think about something, it can get instant reaction into your physical body. So I mean, now I'm just like throwing everything, but
No,
it's a
but it's like
broad
it's
area.
true. It's true, and see, I'm all for it. I could talk about that over and over, and it ties into, the work environment, and ties into doing
Mm,
business, because business is not separate from, from a human being. It's all energy, and there is a. I like how you said like why somebody is the way they are, or does the way they do things, like
mm,
why. And you can really kind of like understand that when somebody is at work, for instance, unhappy, they're not just unhappy, they come
mm,
from somewhere, they've been to places, they walked the journey. And when you kind of step back and look at it from that angle, then it doesn't matter that they're unhappy, in the sense of you don't have to judge them. There's nothing wrong. You can actually say, you
mm,
know what, they are not feeling good. They are unhappy. So where are they coming from? So I ask them where they're coming from, and then we'll
mm,
unroll that journey a little bit. And then when you take the time to do that, you understand that person. And from there, you're looking at they're unhappy. Actually, it shifted, this is why they're unhappy, this is what's going on inside of them, and the
mm.
unhappy doesn't matter anymore. Then it's all about solution, right?
Yeah.
Versus before, you were stuck at somebody is unhappy or angry or whatnot. And if you go into that a little deeper, you're actually going to shift to solutions. And so, right, I mean, that's what
Yeah,
happens.
100%. I'd love what you say out, that like, okay, you dive into this person and the situation and what they're feeling. But as an outside person, sometimes it's much easier to kind of see it in a holistic way. So like, okay, you're super upset about this, but what is the cause? And
Yeah.
why, like was the trigger in you? So it's kind of like being a therapist. So I'm not have experience for being that, but I can just imagine that it's a bit about being like a psychologist, that to be like, okay, I see your triggers and this is what's bothering you. But as an outside person, you can kind of see the triggers and connect that to something else, and then this was the trigger. Oh, okay, this is the hinder, or like the blockage. So
Yeah.
it's like a journey, and then I just love to see that person being in this state, and then shift. I
Yeah,
just love the shift
absolutely. Yeah.
because it's so like it's just like magical, and I love when people I love spreading like a good energy with people, and I hope that I do that. I mean, I hope so.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, we all do. And when we don't do, we can also then go back and look why. And when you found out,
Mm,
when you find the why, or when you kind of understand the journey a little bit better, I feel like then the solutions just kind of lay there. And sometimes it doesn't even need a solution. The shift just happens
mm,
just because somebody took the time to figure you out or help you to figure yourself out. And I like that you have that background and that passion for psychology because it helps you at your job, right?
yeah, yeah, I would say so. And I think most times when it is like an obstacle or person upset, or there's something just that they feel insecure about what they're doing and they don't feel good about what they're doing, it just sometimes people just need a person to listen that listens to them, and they figure out, you know, the solution themselves by talking out loud. And then they're like, oh,
Absolutely.
okay. And you just kind of give small tools for them to like guide them through it, and then they're like, oh, okay, good. And then they feel much calmer. And so I had that situation with a person who felt like, oh, wasn't good at their job and felt a bit insecure, and I just wanted to listen and then give some guidance. And then after the meeting they're like, oh, okay, feels a bit calmer, and then had some sort of solutions to the next step. We don't have to, sometimes we think so big and so analyze it and think like such a big thing, but then when it comes down to it, it's like you can go do this and this and that, and it's like you have a direction and it feels much easier.
Yeah, I like it. And I agree with you. It's like we get so stuck up on the big stuff and then we're looking at this big thing and then you
Mm.
don't get anywhere. So
Yeah,
versus
yeah.
actually just when there's a problem, look basic, look small, become human and humanize the whole process. And a lot of
Mm.
times, sometimes somebody just needs to be able to say that they're unhappy or it's hard or whatnot. And then of course take it, and as a company especially take it serious, and then offer
Mm.
solutions and actions, right? Be an actionable company that says, okay, that's the
Mm.
problem, I'm actually going to do something about it. So what do you think about happiness at work? um, like, where is it lacking? Where do you think it's lacking? Because you have such a great viewpoint and background, and you work in
Mm.
an amazing company, and you live abroad, which is going to be so different for the people that are listening here that are in America. So happiness, where do you think it's lacking?
Mm. I mean, I think there's a few things, but what we talked about, I think, in the beginning now, to be able to be your authentic self at your workplace and not just seeing it as, okay, I have to work 9 to 5. I need money for it. I don't care what it is. Because imagine how many hours you spend at your work. And now
Yeah.
maybe people work a lot remote as well, but it drains you if you can't just be yourself 8 hours a day, or you have to be somebody else and go into like a business mode or very much like another persona. Then it drains your energy, and then you come home and you feel like, whew, and you have no energy for something else you want to do in your day. So I think that's a very big part, that we, as I think you said, like humanize the person that are at work, and kind of, and like this, like work and life doesn't have to be like totally separate. It can be like you can just be the same person in both those places. And I think that comes a lot about like the old way of working. It feels like you went to work, you were super serious, and it was like work, work,
Yeah.
work, and you couldn't talk with your managers about something personal. It was has to be like very hierarchy. Especially in Sweden, we don't really have hierarchy like that at all. I mean, I can see my CEO helping out carrying things to the kitchen. I mean, and I can go into him and just like, hey, do you have a minute? I have to chat about something.
Yeah.
So I think that makes us like we're just humans. Otherwise, it's like if you would see your coworker outside of work, you know, when you were at school and saw your teacher in the metro, I was like, do you have a
Yeah.
life? Oh my God, you
Yeah.
have a child.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so scary to see you're outside because you're like you have regular clothes.
Yeah.
And I think that's that's like a big thing. That's
Yeah.
why I say shifting at where I work now is that I can just wear whatever I want. I mean, it's not no prestige. There's not like, oh, I have to be like this, or it's very just casual. And I think we all like to just have it easy going and not make it too complicated.
Yeah, and feel comfortable in
Mm,
what how you dress, and just go. You're an adult being, you know what you need to do, and you know how you want to feel, right? And go with
mm,
that. And when you said that about, like you're drained, you come home and then you just, I'm so drained.
yeah.
That then also means that in your private time you are not really energized to work out, to eat
Mm,
good, to
mm,
meditate, to meet friends, to do something good for you. And that's that vicious cycle, and you go
mm,
further down. And
yeah.
then, so yeah, it's important that, I think, as a employee, to see, check yourself, where is your energy when you come home from work. Yes, we all are
Mm,
sometimes tired after work,
mm,
and that's okay. But like, is it constant? And if it's constant, to really kind of notice that, because then you're going to start not taking really good care of yourself on a private level too, and that's an alarm signal, really big alarm
yeah.
signal,
Yeah.
very big. Yeah.
That's a good point that you're saying, because I think that, I mean, we can't just think about if you think about employee health and well-being and work-life balance and all that, we also have to think about how are they able to live their life outside of work, and how can we enable that better. I mean, if they are totally drained, they have no motivation and no energy to put into the work that they're doing, so it's like everything just goes down. I mean, it's
Everything
such a
goes down.
win-win
Yeah.
to think about, emphasize, okay, working out, going out in nature, doing things that you love, that will make you thrive also at work. So I think like everything around the company, like can we promote habits that are, promoting health. It could be we have like a walking competition just to promote that.
Yeah.
We, because in Sweden we have something called, I don't say that in English, but it's like you get a sum of money to use it for, like, it could be massage, it could be choir, it could be a gym membership. So we have that, and then we can also like in all terms, in all ways, promote like good habits. I think that's also something that will increase, I mean, their work, um, like their work at the company as well, like the results. So it is a win-win, and we have to think, I think, more bigger than just like narrow it down to the office hours.
Yeah, I like that, because like what you just said is just so, I think it's really, really highlighting a lot. It's potent as
Mm,
companies and leaders to also think beyond your people just at work. How are they
mm,
doing privately? Not to get into their business, that's not what it's about, but to
mm,
be interested enough to say, do you have enough energy when you go home to still take care of yourself?
mm.
To really,
Yeah.
it's a great question, because, and it's not to be noisy, it's to,
Mm,
I really care to know from you, how energized are you when you leave. Yes,
mm,
if you're like under pressure to get a project out because it has to get out, and then sometimes you just work really hard, that's fine. But like in normality, when you go home, are you super drained? And I
mm.
think if as a leader you can actually ask that, it shows that you actually care, and then also take that to heart, because if your people always go home and they're super drained, not creative anymore, have nothing left, then there's something really that as a leader and company you want to change, because you do not
Yeah.
want drained employees. It's important to care about them when they leave
Mm.
work. How do they feel, right?
Yeah, and I mean, these are we can use different tools to find these things out. So one could be to have the one-on-ones, and maybe sometimes they just want to have something more responsibility. So we maybe can talk with the manager, and then we add something. Because sometimes when you have less to do, like nothing, that can also be very demotivating.
Yes, very
Um,
much. Yeah.
yeah, and then also we use like a tool to send out like surveys, like in a fun way. So it's like an app, and you go in and oh, I feel super drained after work, yes or no, like a thumbs up or no. So we can kind of map it out and see trends. Maybe it's like winter in Sweden, not that great. I mean, we
Yeah.
all get very like slow energy.
Yeah.
So maybe we can see trends and implement new things. And we're thinking about implementing like a well-being function. I mean, I think there's tons of different tools now. When everything is digital, there's so many tools out there that can help and inspire and maybe just map things out better.
Yeah, and like you say, I like that. And like you say, wholesome.
Mm,
Everything is connected. It's work and private is not different. Companies or leadership and people is not different. It's all wholesome. And if you really come together and see that it's an organism, right, that
mm,
feeds each other, feeds itself and whatnot, and if you see the business and everything that it entangles as a living organism, I think it's a very healthy way of looking at it. And that's also ultimately then how you can thrive as a business
mm,
and not
mm.
separating that. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we use something that's called Slack. It's like a channel
Yeah.
that Slack.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, we have different channels. I mean, only having different channels, we have like food Slack, we have this, we have life at our company. So I think that people post things and then you go in. So it's kind of like a social media for the company as well, just to see what people do outside of work. And I mean, we share so much that's not business related, and I think that really increases like, oh, I know these people, they're my friends, not only colleagues.
Yeah, and that also then brings up when somebody doesn't feel so good, they can go into these Slack channels, and that's an
Mm,
uplift right there. Because sometimes, yeah, you have a day where you're just not feeling so good. You can also then use that and see what somebody cooked, and then that might make you happy, or the
mm.
pets somebody has, or something like that. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. It's really becoming friends and humanizing everything, and
Mm,
having fun at work, not making it so
yeah.
serious, right?
Yeah, I think so. Because I just realized, because I was thinking, I was studying for, 5 years, and people said, oh, you will miss study life so much. And I haven't missed it a second,
Yeah.
because I just feel like now it's kind of like I'm going and study, I can say, but I get money for it, and I do something that's like real and not only like in a book.
And you're
And I think,
passionate about it too.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and I think what this company has, like, very like what I'm very like proud of to being part of, is that you get responsibilities. It's like people believe in you. So if you are like proactive and have ideas and are like very much like have a vision about something, they get you in charge. I'm like, okay, nice, we book meetings, and just like there's no limit to it.
I
It doesn't have
love
to go,
that.
yes, like it doesn't have to go this whole journey to be approved and la la la. It's more like,
Yes.
okay, but do it, book a meeting, and wow, that was amazing, good job.
Yeah.
So, and I really love that, because that's something that I thrive in, even though now I'm in a new role. So many things I have never done in my life, but they're like, okay, let's start. It's not like, oh, you have to be a pro at this already.
I like that what you're saying, because a lot of times, when you have to get it approved, and then is it okay, and this and that, and everyone puts their voices to it, then it gets stuck. That's it. Idea's gone, the inspiration is
Mm,
gone. It's too hard to do. Let's just keep doing it the old way. And that's kind of like why we are where we are, because things are
mm,
just too big, too complicated. And I like that approach. You just, if somebody has a great idea, you just say, just do it, because you can always shift and change it. You
yeah.
can see where it goes, and who knows, that might be the next big wonderful thing that your company needs to thrive and to become a better,
Mm.
work culture and whatnot, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is growing, and we as a company are growing so much, so many new people every month. I think next week we will start in total 21 people in Stockholm in the
Wow.
office. And it's like, how, and people ask me like, how do you, because I really sell the culture, because I believe in it so super much. So I feel like it's also kind of, if we talk, how things, this is how I believe, like if you talk about it, it kind of becomes the reality as well. So if
Yes.
everybody's just like, oh, the culture is wonderful, we do this, and that they really emphasize that all the time, and that becomes the reality. So I think it's because we do, in the hiring process, in the management, in the like the CEO, like in all steps, talks about culture, people, that becomes like the reality. And I really think that's a very big fact, that we are so much into culture, and why people really thrive.
I love that. And yeah, it's like when you talk about it, you feel it. And then because when you talk about it, you co-create too with someone,
Mm,
and new ideas come up, and then stuff will be said, and that shifts your heart, your energy. And absolutely, I mean, it's like fire, it catches on fire and keeps going
mm,
on. And that is wonderful. And that also ties into the whole thing about, to highlight for companies and leaders to talk about it. Go talk with your
yeah.
people, find out
Mm,
and talk about it, and set those values that you so much want, and then talk about it, highlight it, and talk with your people, because I think
yeah.
communication is just so important.
Yes, and like nothing has to be like set in stone and be already done. Just like put the people together, have a workshop about it, and let them come up with the values. Let them
Yes,
help. Because when they all feel like they are part of the creation, they feel much more like an ownership of the company, much more ownership, and understand why, rather than this is just the value.
I love it.
Because now they're like, okay, they created the value, and they know what the background is, and then they know the importance. I mean, people just have to know, because in school, somebody's like, you have to learn this math, and you were like, why? And you
Yeah.
get no motivation, because they're like, it's in the book, you just have to learn it.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
like,
we don't
yeah.
work like that. We work like, we want to understand why, because then we can put in the effort in it, and we're like, okay, nice, now I
Yes.
know, so I can continue doing it.
And you're part of it. When you make people be part of your company,
Yeah.
instead of just they work for you or they're just
Mm,
there, you make them feel and be a part of it and have a say. That's a win right there, because you
yeah.
make people will want to be a part of it. They will want to have voice, but you also then have to listen, of course. So
Mm,
hey, a quick little, we're almost done with our show
mm.
time, but a quick little thing, it's like privately. So you walked the Camino de Santiago, and I actually had to look it up exactly how long it is. How long did it
Mm.
take you to walk it?
I mean, it took 38 or 39 days to do
Okay.
it.
All
And
right.
I started in France. It's like a small city in France, and then you start by walking over the Pyrenees, through
Yes.
all of Spain, and then to the end of Spain, and then up, and then you
Right.
were done.
Okay.
So I think it's 92 kilometers in total,
Yeah.
if you walk a few extra days. So it's a long journey.
It's a long journey. Okay. But I mean, it's impressive, right? It's one of those bucket list items. It's amazing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I would recommend anyone to do it, because I just flew by myself, and I decided like the week before. So I was no prepared at all. I like, okay, what do I need to buy? A backpack. Perfect. So I
Yes.
had like just bought some shoes, and then I traveled down. And then it's so amazing, because you meet so many people that you would never have met ever. And then you just like walk, because you walk all days, right? So you walk a bit, talk with them, and you get to know people very deeply, because everyone is there for so many different reasons, and like could be horrible like situations that happened, or just like everyone is there on so many different journeys. And then you get to know them a bit, and then it's like, okay, bye, see you, buen camino, we always say. So it's a really cool thing.
I love it. I really love it. And you learn so much. And that in itself then helps you do what you do again. And it feeds it did feed your passion of psychology
Yeah.
and meeting people and where they're coming from and all this good stuff, information in there. So where can people find you, Amanda?
Yes. So I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram. So I mean, those are the things I am at. So people can find me. My name is just like Amanda Carapi Sjölin.
Do you want to
Um,
spell your last
yes,
name? Thank
I
you.
don't know how to say. So its last name is like S-J, and then it's the Swedish O with two dots.
Yeah.
L-I-N.
Okay, good. And the O with two dots is OE, because I'm from Switzerland and we call
Oh
that
yes.
Ö, but
Okay.
you do
Yeah.
OE, yeah, in
OE.
America. So
Yeah,
I know I
exactly.
had to learn that too. So no, that's great, because I really think that people should get to know you and really, get connected with you and talk psychology and all this good stuff, because you have a lot of good stuff to teach and good information to give. So thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was super nice. And just reach out to me, anyone. I'm always open for some conversations.
I love that. And greetings to Europe. And listeners, thanks for tuning in for another great episode with Amanda for the Corporate Happiness Show. And I hope you got some inspirational information and wisdom from it. So stay happy. And until next time.